You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. Yeah, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting.
NATO and the EU hold the world hostage is by using the threat of war with Russia to maintain control and get hundreds of billions a year in military funding they launder to themselves. It's a bunch of crooks, and Trump is trying to bring it to an end. This is so dangerous.
Why is Europe so obsessed with Vladimir Putin when their own house is on fire? Let me ask you, what poses a bigger threat to the streets of London, Paris, and Berlin right now? Is it the distant shadow of Putin's Kremlin, or the very real wave of illegal migrants flooding into their cities? Donald Trump has set the stage for a new conversation, and it's a brutal one.
We will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
That.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. Yeah, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
The U.S. president, following his fiery exchange with Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, dropped a bombshell. We should spend less time worrying about Putin and more time worrying about migrant rape gangs, drug lords, murderers, and people from mental institutions entering our country so that we don't end up like Europe. Strong words. But let's break it down. While the European Union screams about Russia's aggression, their own nations are drowning in chaos.
We've also invested close to $20 billion in supports for Ukraine, military, economic, and other. And we're going to continue to be there to support Ukraine.
We will keep the military aid flowing and keep increasing the economic pressure on Russia to strengthen Ukraine now. The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting.
Look at the UK. Illegal migrants crossing the English Channel in record numbers, overwhelming border patrols, and slipping into cities. Police forces already stretched thin are now battling rising cases of theft, drug trafficking, grooming gangs, and violent assaults, many linked to these unvetted arrivals. Germany, the situation isn't any better. Last year alone, over 350,000 asylum seekers, the highest since the 2015 migrant crisis, poured into the country. The result? Inner-city crime surging, and multiple reports of sexual assaults and gang violence have gripped Berlin and Cologne. And France? Paris is struggling to control its crime-ridden suburbs, areas dominated by undocumented migrants, with violent clashes between police and gangs becoming a terrifying norm. Even Italy, a frontline state for illegal immigration, saw over 150,000 migrant landings last year, fueling fears of criminal networks operating unchecked. So the real question is, why is Europe so fixated on Putin when they can't control their own borders? Donald Trump's critics call him pro-Putin, but his point is crystal clear. The West is obsessed with a war thousands of miles away, while their own streets are spiraling into lawlessness. Let's not forget the political divide in America itself. While Democrats like Senator Chris Murphy are raising alarm bells over Trump's closeness to Russia, calling the White House an arm of the Kremlin, Trump's Republican allies are singing a different tune. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz even suggested Zelensky step down for a peace deal, saying, "We need a leader that can deal with us, eventually deal with the Russians, and end this war." But the real war, the one threatening the very fabric of Europe, is happening within their borders. The spike in rapes, drug trafficking, and violent murders linked to unchecked migration is no longer a distant fear. It's the harsh reality of modern-day Europe. So as Brussels and Berlin point fingers at Moscow, the people of Europe are left asking, who's protecting us from what's happening right here? Because if this continues, Putin won't have to lift a finger. Europe is already crumbling from within. Let that sink in.